Okay, Connor, I'm gonna try to see if I can solve your problem. Based on the image that you're showing, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what's happening. I don't know where the bus is going, which direction. All I'm seeing is I do see the discrepancy of one set of curve that's not on the mesh. So I'm gonna do a few educated guess and then see if that helps you. But in the meantime, I think I'm gonna also show you how nHair kind of works, just so you can kind of get an understanding of what's going on. Right now, I'm going to create a quick, basically just nHair. And right now, what you will see, if I just hit play, you see these curves are output curves. And those are the simulation curve. And in your image, those are, let's see, it's actually out here. They will say output curves, right? Then there's also what we call these input curve or starting curves. And we can show them by going display, and then I'll just do all curve and I'll hide them manually. So I'm hiding the output now. And if I hit play, you notice that doesn't really change anything because the starting curve are there, tend to use it as a rest shape, I suppose. So you can bend them, you can deform them, and then when it comes to hairSystem, you can actually adjust the start curve attract, and that's how your curve is going to try to follow, your output curve is going to try to follow the start curves. And so I can just show a quick example. So yeah, now you can see, maybe I'll do it this way. Right, so changing this is going to change how my hair looks. And don't forget that you have obviously the curve here, then you can kind of change however that you want. So that's dynamic side of things. So now you understand there are starting curves and then output curves. Output curve is what you need to know or what you need to see, and starting curve is kind of there for debugging or if you want to animating the base shape. So I'm animating the sphere, which will be, I guess, your head. And as you can see, the output curve is following, and your starting curve should follow as well. If this does not happen, then there's a couple things that we might want to try. I'm going to kind of restart this because I know I'm doing it differently. I just went on here and then create hair, but I believe what you did is slightly different. You kind of went through the whole XGen thing, which I don't really use XGen, so I can't really show you quickly, but I'll show you this way. Essentially, it should be the same under the hood for Maya. So I'll just name this group the whatever hairSystem group for now. And let's say this is your group, right? And I believe when you click on the XGen to make a hairSystem, this window pops up, which is the same, MakeCurveDynamics options. And I believe the options is also the same, this somewhat set by default. One thing I noticed is the video that I sent you, I think they didn't really show you to select the mesh, but in general, the first option says attach curve to selected surfaces. And I feel it's good practice that you should always select your curve or your surface when you make a curve dynamic. We could try it, I guess. I mean, the first thing I think I can just try and then see if that's going to work. Yeah, so looks like maybe this is your issue, that it didn't know what to attach to, basically. So let's go back. So then now what I will do is I'll basically select the curves or your groom and your surface that your groom is coming out from. So most of the time it's your head, or sometimes it's the scalp. So it kind of depends on how you groom your head. And so just make sure to select the mesh, and that will be moved. And then you do make curve dynamic. And remember, we make an output curve, and then we also have a starting curve. And starting curve is always under follicles. So again, we can go debugging real quick. We see the starting curve is following the mesh. So far, so good. And we can turn this off. And then I will show my output curve. Now it's also following the mesh. Right, so maybe that's what you need. If it still doesn't work, I think you should check your UVs. Just make sure you have a clean UV. I don't know how to explain this. This could be many things. Sometimes multiple UV is also bad for hair. So yeah, I think check your UV. Just make sure everything's clean. Everything's under the UDIM. What I mean by that is, let me just find where UV editor is. So UVs, your UDIM should always be like, you notice a lot of quadrants, like, but the top right is always the main one. And then you just want to make sure it's within the square of 1 and 1 here. Like if it's something that's outside, it could cause issues. So that's one general tip I can give you. Then what else we could look for? Oh, the another things that you can check out is sometimes maybe your groom is too far away from the surface. You know, maybe, you know, somehow you grabbed it, groomed it, and then things are a little bit farther away. And so maybe we could try that. All right, so I'll make a few curves. I'll press FA, select all the bottom ones. Maybe I can just select a bunch of these. I'm just gonna move them up. So sometimes if they get too far, I know this is kind of exaggerating, but it happens. Then go back to that. Select curve. All right. Well, it looks like you may still find it. All right, we're just gonna hit play. Still follows. But there's gonna be times, sometimes it's like, you know, it's just too far or there's too many hair. But yeah, if it's too far and with the bad UV, it really, I think Maya really have a hard time finding where exact point that's going to be. So, I mean, you could, there's an option that you can turn on. It's called a snap curve base to surface, but I generally don't turn this on because it automatically snaps that just the first UV, first point. So your second point will be stay where that is. So it will do something like that. Then this kind of screw up the simulation a bit because, you know, this length and this length is going to have a different dynamics. So a general good rule of practice is just fix this in the groom and then make sure, you know, your segments are somewhat even, and then recreate the hair dynamic again and again. You know, this should be the same button, and then just make sure you select the mesh and then make curve dynamic and then go from there. So you have a few things to try. Hopefully one of those works. If not, then you know, we'll figure out something else. All right, good luck.